Hi all. If you want to learn German A1 and pass a Goethe A1 exam, you are in the right place. I have helped students pass this exam in as little as 10 days. So it is very much doable for everyone who puts in a little bit of effort. In this video, I am going to give you a complete overview of the exam so that you know exactly whether the A1 exam is for you and you know what you need to be able to pass it. Now, to clear out any confusion, I will focus on the exam for adults and not on the exam for children. The adult exam is the one you need to pass if you want to study or work in Germany. So this is what the Goethe exam look like. And if you get the correct guidance, it is really not that hard since the exam is very standardized. So you always get similar exercises regardless of which year you take the exam in. Now, a very common question I get is where can I take the Goethe A1 exam? The Goethe A1 exam usually happens on one day at Goethe Institute. As you can see here, there are many good institutes around the world, and how often they offer A1 exam depend on the location. Some places only offer it once or twice a year, and bigger centers like the one in Bangalore, Delhi, or Chennai might have multiple exams dates every month. And the price of the exam also depends on the country. So to be sure about exam dates and prices, always check with your exam center, especially since schedules can change. Now, the Goethe German A1 exam is split into 4 parts. And these cover the 4 skills of listening, hören, reading, lesen, writing, schreiben, and speaking, sprechen. There is no separate grammar or vocab test, unlike in the German language exam, TELC for example. Alright, let us look at the format of each section. And for this, I am going to use the mock exams directly from Goethe. So everything starts with the listening section. The total time for this part of the A1 exam is about 20 minutes. And there are going to be 3 parts, and for every listening there is an exercise. I would say the voice and the audio are clearer than real speech and also slightly slower. So it is going to be very easy to understand as a beginner if you had some good practice. Now you are going to hear a short audio clip before each question. In part 1 and part 3, you get to listen to the audio twice. And after the audio, there is a gap of about 20 seconds you can use to answer the question before the next audio starts. So in part 1, you get to listen to the topic twice. And there are going to be 6 questions. And you can choose the correct answer from 3 options, A, B or C. And there is a picture for each option, going to be a big help. Let me give you an example and listen to the first audio.
Ach, Verzeihung, wo finde ich Herrn Schneider vom Betriebsrat?
Schneider, warten Sie mal. Ich glaube, der ist in Zimmer Nummer 254. Ja, stimmt, Zimmer 254. Das ist im 2. Stock. Da können Sie den Aufzug hier nehmen.
2. Stock, Zimmer 254. Okay, vielen Dank.
So, C is the correct answer here. And the second part, there are 4 questions, 7 to 10. And based on separate audio for each question, you have to decide if the short statement in each question is richtig oder falsch, or right or wrong. You only get to hear each clip once. And the clips are all announcements over a speaker. So here you have to listen very carefully. And also let me show you an example here.
Liebe Kunden, zu Weihnachten bieten wir Ihnen super Preise an. Zum Beispiel erstklassiger italienischer Weißwein für 12,78 € die Flasche oder exklusiver argentinischer Rotwein für 9,68 €. Besuchen Sie uns im 3. Stock. Frohe Weihnachten.
Number 7 is false. So it is wrong. And in the final part of a listening section, there are going to be 5 questions of the 5 audio clips. And you are going to hear each clip twice. And you have to choose the correct answer from A, B or C. And the clips cover a range of different voicemail messages. And the task is to decide which of 3 options is correct responds to the question. And there is an example.
Telefonansagedienst der Deutschen Telekom. Die Rufnummer des Teilnehmers hat sich geändert. Bitte rufen Sie die Telefonauskunft an unter 11833.
So based on the audio, A is the correct answer. So now let us move on to the reading and writing section. For both you have 45 minutes, and the suggestion is that you spend about 25 minutes on the reading part and 20 minutes on the writing. But of course, you can also be flexible. And the reading part is specifically divided into 3 parts. Teil 1 bis Teil 3. So in the first part, you get 2 short text. In this model paper, there are 2 emails which are about 50 to 100 words long, and they are both written in a formal format. So you use do instead of see. Of course, the text in your exam is going to be different than the one here, but the style, length, and the content will be similar. In this case, you get 5 questions. 2 for the first text and 3 for the second text. You have to answer them as richtig oder falsch, right or wrong. So let me give you an example here. So for the first text, you get a statement. Lisa Zug kommt nach 12:30. Lisa Zug kommt nach 12:30. So Lisa's train arrives after 1:30. Is it true or false? Richtig oder falsch? When you read the text and pay attention to the times, it says that Lisa's train arrives at 12:36. So in this case, this is richtig. It is true. In question 6 to 9, you see 2 short websites about 10 to 20 words. And the web address is also visible, and for each question, we get a different symbol situation. As an example, the situation for question 6 in this part of the model paper is Sie möchten mit dem Schiff auf dem Rhein fahren. You would like to travel by boat on the river Rhine. And you have to choose which websites you will visit to get the information that you need. And the 2 sites are Hotel Pension Schiff, Bingen Rudheimer Rheinschiffe. Now, if you have not practiced enough vocabulary, you might be confused here, and you are just looking for the word Schiff, that means ship. But in reality, in the second website is the correct one. Okay, in the final part of the reading section, there are questions 11 to 15. And in the model paper, you can see a picture of an information sign. And you need to understand the sign to answer the question richtig oder falsch, right or wrong. For example, number 13, am Bahnhof, has a picture of a sign that says, auf dem gesamten Bahnhof ist das Rauchen verboten. Auf dem gesamten Bahnhof ist das Rauchen verboten. The true or false statement is, Sie können hier Zigaretten rauchen. That means you can smoke cigarettes here. Now the sign clearly states that smoking is forbidden. So in this case, you pick false. That means falsch. Now on a quick side note, this video is actually part of my online program, Deutsch mit Sajin, in which I teach the different levels of German. But I thought I would share this on YouTube because it helps a lot of students to get an overview of what A1 level and the exams are actually about. We have German courses for multiple different levels. Check them out if you are interested in learning German and passing the Goethe exams. And for your convenience, I put the link of the course in this video's description. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. But let us move to the writing part. The suggestion is that you spend about 20 minutes here in the writing exercise at the A1 level. You don't have to write crazy essays. There is actually a clear framework for both answers. The challenge is more to understand the information in the 2 questions. So part 1 is very simple. You have to fill out a form. In the model paper, you get some basic information about your friend Eva, and you get the information that she will travel with her husband and 2 sons and that she does not have a credit card. And there are 5 gaps in the form that you have to fill in. And you can find all the information that you need in the text at the top. And you just need to understand what is required for each field. For example, Anzahl der Personen. Anzahl means number of the people. And since you know that Eva is going with her husband and 2 sons, you can insert the number 4 here. Now, part 2 is a short letter that you need to write. And the model paper, the letter is to Tourist Information Office in Dresden. And besides the basic formalities of the letter, you have 3 topics to cover in 1 or 2 sentences. You have to include why you are writing. You need to request some tourist information and ask for suitable hotel addresses. And the entire letter should be about 30 words long, which is really not that hard. In your actual Goethe A1 exam, the task should be really similar to the one in this mock exam here. Alright, after the writing section, there comes the last part of the exam, the speaking section. And this is actually the part students are afraid of the most. But after dealing with the German for the last 3 modules, you should be warmed up by now. Be confident. The speaking part is going to last about 15 minutes, and there are 3 parts you have to speak to other members of the group, and this can be up to 4 participants plus 2 examiners. So in part 1 you have to introduce yourself in short sentences, and you get help from this prompt sheet right here. It says Name, Alter, Land, Wohnort, Sprachen, Beruf and Hobby. And they expect you to speak in short sentences and not just single words. For example, mein Name ist Sajin, ich bin 25 Jahre alt, ich komme aus Indien. This part is very standard and you can practice the answer to these questions beforehand. If you have properly done the introduction part in the A1 course, you should be good to go here. Now, here is one thing that surprises a lot of students. Please be aware that at the end of your self-introduction, the moderator will ask you to spell one piece of your information. So for example, you need to spell your first and last name or the street you live in. And the moderator will also ask you to give a number. For example, a mobile number or a zip code. So in the second part of the Sprechen, you have to ask for a give information about everyday subject. For example, essen, trinken, Familie, einkaufen. So this is how it works. You are going to get a stack of these cards on the table, and the first candidate takes one and is going to ask a question related to the word on the card, and the second person answers the question. And the person who answered can now ask a question. This continues until everybody has asked and answered a question, and you get to the end of the card stack. For example, you get the card Thema Essen und Trinken. You need to ask a question about Frühstück. For example, was isst du zum Frühstück? So you could ask, what do you eat for breakfast? Or if someone asks you this question, you can answer, ich esse Eier. I eat eggs. Now the next section text whether you can ask and answer a question that is related to an everyday object. And the concept is similar to the one in part 2. For example, the prompt card might show a picture of a water glass, ein Glas Wasser, and there is going to be no prompting. So you might say, ein Glas Wasser bitte, 1 glass of water please. And the other person has to react to this request. So how can we react? You can react like this, ja, natürlich bitte. Ja, natürlich bitte. Yes, of course. Here we go. One person makes a request or asks a question related to the object on the card, and the other person has to give an appropriate reaction. Of course, you can be creative here. Your pronunciation in grammar does not have to be perfect for the entire exam. It is okay if you make mistakes here and there. And the good thing is, even when you make grammar mistakes, they usually won't deduct any points. Now, the pass mark of the Goethe German exam is 60%. And you can drop below this one in one more sections. But you will then obviously have to perform very well in the other parts and pull up your entire score. A1 is just the first step towards learning more of the language. There is a lot more to come, and don't forget to check out the German courses in the video description. And good luck with your exams. God bless.